Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, the second episode of the 2026 preseason, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. It's not quite Christmas Day for Supercoaches, but let's call it Easter. It's probably the second best day on the calendar. Christmas Day is a reference to probably Teamless Tuesday for Supercoaches, but today NRL Supercoach has officially launched and we are excited here at SC Playbook, as are all Supercoaches out there. I am your host, Tim Williams, and with me today to run through a bunch of different things, namely my team reveal, it is former Socceroo, current A-League star with the Macarthur Bulls, comfortably the best looking, the most knowledgeable Socceroo that we've ever had on this panel, Matty Jurman. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, man. How are you?
I'm very well. As I said, very excited about this. And Matty, the SC Playbook Supercoach EPL listeners would know you from that show. You do that with my show, Alex Molchanov, absolutely killing it over there. But as I said, you've played at the top level for a long, long time. You've represented your country, but your true passion, your heart lies with NRL Supercoach, mate. You've played for a long time. You've supported SC Playbook, so thrilled to have you on the show, but you love your footy.
Love my footy, yeah. Big Dragons fan. It's been a bit hard the last few years, seeing the team just miss out on finals. But I've had Supercoach to keep me interested in all the games. So I try and actually watch every game every weekend. It's a pleasure to be here and talk Supercoach with you.
Yeah, good to have you, mate. The mighty, well, not so mighty in recent years, Dragons, they're building well. I've threw up you're a passionate lot, you Dragons fans. I put up my predicted 17s, my team list for each team quite recently up on the SC Playbook website. And we've got obviously the WhatsApp community in the chat there. Yep. Copped an absolute spray from one of the members of the group about my wingers that I had in there. I had Tyrell Sloan in there with Tui Pilotu. Sloan was a bit of a placeholder because there's three different players that are pushing for that wing spot.
There is, yeah.
Tui Pilotu, he's in doubt for round one for that Vegas clash with injury, but I had him in there anyway. But yeah, no, copped a spray. So we love the feedback in that community. Also with us today, Matty, the Waterboy. Matty, how are you, mate?
Good, Timmy. I had a very, very, very quick peek at your team before, and a few flavours in there that I'm a big fan of. But yeah, got a lot of questions for you this episode. Was
there anything that you saw in there that you're like, I know he's experienced in this, but he's missed the mark on this one?
Yeah, and we'll get to it. There's a few big names you've left out, and obviously the last memory I have of NRL Supercoach was in the last round of last year when you have millions and millions more dollars and you have much more to play with, and so to kind of go back to square one, I guess it's a bit of a reality check, but there's a few names in there that I certainly would have in that you haven't.
Yeah, for those listening in pre-show, and Matty was checking out my team, said, Kalen Ponga, what's that about? And I'm just like, mate, when you come off a bad season, it means you're cheap. It's pretty simple. So we'll get to that pretty shortly. On today's show, it's a pretty straightforward one. I am doing my team reveal, player-by-player analysis of my starting team for round one. The 2026 title-winning round one team, some people are already calling it. Matty's going to grill me with questions on that. We're then going to throw to Matty Jurman to get his thoughts on each position as well, and any plays in my team that he's happy with, not happy with, whether he'd play it differently. Guys, what is in store at SC Playbook in 2026? Some big announcements to come, some big guns incoming, some collaborations, some new things, all to be announced probably over the next week or two. So very excited about all of that. Also ramping up our subscription content to add more and more value in 2026. Get you access to a ton of extra premium articles on site each week of the preseason and throughout the year. Subscriber podcast questions, unlimited league prize money of over $1,000 and plenty more. Also, we're expanding our subscriber podcast each week this season. We've already done one, Beers and Break-Evens with Guru, that is there for SC Playbook subscribers and members of the Roo Crew to check out. If you enjoy other Supercoach formats, get you access to our cricket, EPL, NBA and NFL content all year round, as well with AFL also to launch next week. So very, very exciting times. All of those different platforms are on their own podcast channels, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. So go and subscribe to them and on social media. The SC Playbook subscription, that is less than $2 per week. Price has not changed. To subscribe, head to scplaybook.com.au and click subscribe in the menu. And as always, we are on the lookout for sponsors to partner up with in 2026. So if you think your business would like to link up with us this season, just flick us an email at supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. That is Supercoach, full word. We can pass on the details on what that might look like from there. All right, straight into it today, boys. So as I said, it is my team reveal. Matty's going to turn, the Waterboy, that is, not Matty Jurman. There's a lot of Matties floating around these studios these days, but Matty the Waterboy is going to turn question master for this show, and he's going to go through my team player by player. I'll give my reasons why I've gone with these sorts of players. I won't go largely in depth around statistics and deep dives. It'll be an overview of my side. In coming weeks, throughout the preseason, we get more articles, more deep dives, all that sort of stuff to come. But for now, just going through the nuts and bolts of my team. So, Matty, I'll throw to you.
Yep.
Then after I have my say in the position, we throw to Matty Jurman. You can roast me, praise me, do whatever you please, mate. You're on debut. Have fun.
Yeah.
Matty the Waterboy.
Yep.
Start at the top. Hookers, let's go.
We'll start with hookers, and I won't always do this. I won't always say that every player is starting and bench, but I will specifically for this one because we're going back to the bit of a throwback to the old Melbourne Storm days, except... it might have been the other way around. I can't remember. I actually can't remember who started more back in the day, whether it was Grant or Smith. But Harry Grant and Brandon Smith, the old Storm Joe from back in the day. What are your thoughts there?
Isn't it one of the... Mate, it hadn't even twigged to me. Like, Cheese has been gone for the Storm for a few years now that it hadn't actually clicked that used to be the dynamic duo down at the Storm. I think
the way you sorted it is the way it happened. It was Grant kind of starting and then Cheese would come off the bench.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've gone with that for now. Harry Grant... A lot would have to change for me to get rid of Harry Grant in round one. Coming off a 62 average last season, years prior than that, every year, average 71 plus. So 71 in 2024. Before that, 73, 78, 74. And it's just not a position I want to screw around with in 2026. I didn't last year, to be fair. I definitely got that one right. And I had Grant for a lot of the year. I think Blake Brayley towards the back end and sort of carried Sandon Smith as a reserve a lot of the time and didn't waste trade in a position that tends to not be overly exciting this bloody day and age. So Harry Grant, I think just at the starting price, he's dirt cheap off the back of that average. So I've gone with him, and Cheese starts at like 235k. He's somewhat of a placeholder, and I'll refer to placeholder a little bit through this podcast because we're still so early on in the preseason that we're going to learn a lot about our cheapies and the round one starters, those bottom dollar guys, whether or not they're valid buys for round one. But basically the way I've structured my team, if I've got a placeholder like Cheese, it's someone that I want someone around about that price. For now, they're the best option. So, yeah, Brandon Smith, I'm just hoping that there's some decent minutes there at the Bunnies. I'll throw back to you on that one, Matty. They'll probably have Peter Mamazella starting at number 9. I suspect Cheese will probably relieve him of his duties at hooker for a little bit, but maybe spend more of his time as a 13. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I don't think Cheese is going to start at hooker. I think that's pretty like well known. I don't know who the hooker is going to be. It's not relevant really in this conversation whether it's going to be Mamazelis or Bronson Garlick, who they've also brought up from Melbourne. He won't start at 13. Obviously, that's Cam Murray. Murray has a mortgage on that, but I'd say he'll come on and play that role. When it comes to how many minutes, I don't know. But I guess because he's so cheap, I understand like where you're coming from. Like it's worth the risk. Like he can score plenty of points in a short amount of time in any game. So yeah, it's a watch. It's certainly a watch. The Brandon Smith 2026 role for the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, and if a better number 9 comes on for round one, I'll change that one around. And
can I point out as well, sorry Timmy to cut you off,
all right, mate.
Whenever Brandon Smith came on the field for South last year, he changed our attack. I reckon he's in for a huge year.
He's had a turbulent couple of years, as we know. What has not changed is that the dude can play footy. So, yeah, if the minute's there and he has a good preseason, and then I'm hoping to have him in my team, he doesn't need to set the world alight. Best case, he kills it and gets 60 minutes and he makes 300k. If he makes 70 to 80k, that's still a little bit of cash in a spot that I'm not too concerned about early on. Matty Jurman, that hooker spot, the Harry Grant start. I know people will be looking at Blake Brayley. I know if you were looking at like a Jake Simpkin, a cheaper route in that position. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you're choosing Harry Grant. I think he's obviously a keeper. You put him in from the start and you don't really want to trade him out after that unless it's around the origin period and you're looking for someone else. But the guys that obviously Blake Brayley had a big season last year, and I think he was someone that wouldn't be as popular this time of the year last year. So I think it's trying to find one of those guys that are in that sort of... not cheapy, but like, mid in the mids and try and find someone that's going to play regularly. Like, for me, Sandon Smith going to Newcastle, I feel like he's going to be a good pick. Someone that I enjoyed playing and like just completely just got hidden out of that Roosters team last year. So him and even Reece Robson going to the Roosters as well. I think he's in that spine. I think that's one of the teams that are favourites for this year as well. So. Not a bad price, cheaper than Harry Grant, but obviously Harry Grant's one of those premium guys that you want in your team eventually anyway.
Exactly right, mate. Hopefully save trades. And if he stays fit for the season, don't have to muck around too much with it. Sandon Smith, I had him just about all last year, and there are players in any code of Supercoach or fancy sport that you have that they either look after you or they don't. And when you play them or you own them, they go terrible, and vice versa, when you don't own them, they go nuts. Sandon last year, every time I played him my 17, he went great. Whenever I didn't play him, he went poorly. So I've just... Whenever that happens, you just have a soft spot for him and go, oh, I'd love to have him back in. So big watch at the Knights end position this year. Matty, the Waterboy, moving on to the front row forward position. Last year was the year of the front row forward, as we well and truly know. It's changed the way I've approached it this year. Hit us.
Yeah, so the front row position, like this time last year, like what were you saying about it?
It's a shit position, and don't spend up money there because these players will just meander. The best ones around 600k, they'll average their 65 and they don't go 100 plus, but that well and truly changed last year.
And that is being reflected in your team as well, because the first cab off the rank for you is Payne Haas at 852k.
It makes me feel crook, honestly, spending that much time, so that much money, or should I say, on a front row for round one. The big factor in paying up for Payne Haas, aside from the fact that he is just an out-and-out freak, it's just the captaincy play early on. So he averaged early to mid-90s across the sort of first 5-6 rounds in last season, and we see time and time again, and we'll do some really good deep dives into this statistically across the preseason and how players perform in the first 5 rounds and how positions perform in the first 5 rounds, but you can really strike out by captaining guys like Cleary and Hines and Tedesco and these more popular captains early on in the year, and they've got 30s and 40s in them. Payne Haas is just going to come out and churn out 70 to 75 in an average, potentially more. And if I start him at that price, I just feel like I'm locking in my captain probably for the first 5 weeks. Then as defences, their injuries start to hit teams, attacks start to click, all that sort of stuff, you start to look more at the Cleary, Hines, Trebojevic types. But yeah, for those first 5 rounds, I reckon I can just lock in my captain. So I'll throw back to you, Waterboy, Matty, and then we'll go to you at the end, Matty Jurman.
Still on Haas, or do you want to go to the next guy?
Next.
Yeah, okay. So this one's an interesting one, and I definitely have my queries on this, and I just want you to, like, first of all, there's going to be a lot of people out here who, listening, me example, who can't separate the Couchman twins. Which one's the one that did his ACL? Which one's the good one? Which one's the one that got injured at the back end of last year? Which one's the one that's going to get most points? You've gone with Toby Couchman. Can you please differentiate which one that is and then explain why you picked him?
We'll just throw a further spanner in the works. I'm living down in the Gong nowadays, and I ran into Mr. Couchman, their old boy, one day, came over and said g'day to me. One of the great men. So, yeah, a good family, I gather. Anyway, there's bad knee Couchman and there's bad shoulder Couchman. That's how we can refer to him, at least in the interim. So, Toby Couchman is bad shoulder Couchman. He played the first 17 rounds last year. Ryan Couchman, he did his ACL early on last year and missed the season. It was awful. So both coming back from respective injuries, but the ACL obviously the worst one. Toby Couchman I have in my team at the moment. Starts the season at, what have we got him, $588,000. His dual front row 2RF, which I love. He's one of the ones in my team that is a long way from locked in. I'm going to watch the preseason. I'm going to look at the round one bench for that Vegas game and see what Flano rolls out in terms of 4 forwards. Is there a utility? How do they go with it? But Couchman last year, he was exceptional. So he got injured. Outside of the game, he got injured. Prior to that, he had 3 80-minute games in a row, scores of 60, 63 and 70. Base stats, get this, 58, 55 and 60. He's just got a massive work rate. He's a really high-quality player, and I can see him making sort of 100 to 150 grand and being a really good plug in that front row forward spot. Not too expensive, but I will want to ensure that the minutes are going to come. I don't expect him to play 80 minutes every week, but when you go through some of his numbers, like he scored 69 in 56 minutes with 61 in base. There was another game, 91 points in 67 minutes with 71 in base. Don't expect him to play 80. He doesn't need it. The PPM stays there. So, yeah, mate, that's why I've got Toby Couchman. But it is definitely a spot that if come round one I can get a cheaper front row for that sort of 350, 400k mark that emerges, I'd be happy to partner them with Payne Haas.
Sweet. So on your bench, you've gone Talia Baseka, who he did his Achilles last year, right? So, again, what you said last year, sometimes players I guess, are injured. Sometimes players have a bad year and they lose value. Well, if someone misses the whole season, I guess that's one of the upsides of that happening as well. So Paseka's in, especially in a team that doesn't have many forwards. And Pasami solo, if you want to just walk us through that.
Yeah, so Paseka, I think, speaks for himself. He just starts cheap because of that injury last year. Now, first 2 games last year prior to injury, 71 points in 54 minutes with 41 in base. Excellent. Then 52 points in 55 minutes with 46 in base. He starts really, really cheap. What do we say, that 328k mark? I think he's going to be a lot slower burn than people think. I think he's going to be a very popular player in that third front row forward slot to start the year. Just he's coming back from an injury. I've currently got him off the bench in my predicted teams. He could easily start. It's just how he gets through the preseason trials and how that knee's going and whether or not they want to, and Sebo wants to start him at front row. He will start at some point if he doesn't round 1. If he comes off the bench, he'll probably start by round 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. I don't really want to play him in my team early on until how I see his minutes coming back from injury, but they're pretty light on in the middle, Manly, so he'll be in my team. And Solo, the former Raider, up at the Knights, again, that's a placeholder. This spot has been typically reserved in my team for someone who sits in my team all year and just absolutely wastes away in the form of Puaso Farmasili in recent years. Franklin Pele, Royce Hunt, 3 years on the trot. That spot has done nothing but cause me nightmares. I want to avoid it this year, but I need the right cattle and I need the right person to do it. So there's a couple of options that I can go with, but that spot is just going to be a watch this space for round 1 teams and see who emerges as that 4th front rower. Matty Jurman, what are your thoughts on the front row forward position, mate? Are you similar to me where you want to pay up for whether it's Payne Haas, a Terrell May, a Tino Malawi, who's front row forward only to start the season, or if you're looking at like maybe an Adam Fanua-Blake at that tier below, or are you of that mindset that maybe last year was a bit of an anomaly with these big scoring front rowers and it'll go back to the normal this year and you look a little bit cheaper? What do you feel?
I mean, Payne Haas, I feel like he always needs to be in your team at some stage of the season. So, but paying up that much is it's quite a lot, you know.
It's a lot.
It's quite a lot. Usually you're paying up for Tom Drabojevic or someone like that at this part of the season. So, but yeah, you definitely want him in your team. It's just if you want to pay that much. Toby Couchman, big fan of his. I think he was great for the Dragons last year, and when he had the shoulder injury, I'm not sure if they got him into surgery or not, but they were...
I reckon they probably, from memory, he was a chance of coming back a little bit earlier, but then they sort of folded late in the season, like send him to the docks, get him chopped up.
Yeah, so there was quite a few boys in that front row and second row from the Dragons that ended up in the surgery room where, you know, they were actually very popular in my team as well last year, and they were quite cheap at the time as well. So
there was Egan, there was Hamish Stewart. They were dropping like flies.
But they're all great Supercoach players, you know, and I can see, you know, if they're back healthy, that'd be very popular this year.
With Jack de Belin gone as well, who was one of the staples in the team in that middle rotation last year, with him gone, there is minutes there, so a big watch. Mate, would you put any thought towards, I think a conversation people will have is Terrell May versus Payne Haas. I think the majority will go with Payne Haas for round 1, but I think people will tinker as it gets close to the season going, I need that extra sort of 50-odd K in money, and I could do that by going Terrell May instead of Haas. So Haas is 850, Terrell's 811, so 40K. Is there a world where you'd go Terrell over Haas, or do you just pay the extra for Payne Haas?
Yeah, I can see people moving towards Terrell as well. He's very consistent and similar to Payne Haas. It just depends. Maybe have a look at the season fixtures and see who you think's going to have a better start. You know, maybe a couple of those guys can snag a few tries as well, and maybe their value gets out of reach. So it's just out of those ones where you sort of want someone to sort of lose value in the first part of the season, so you can get them in.
If Payne Haas starts the season with like 3 or 4 tries, he'll average about 120 to start the year. So we can only hope if I do end up starting in my team. And guys, I will have across the NRL Supercoach preseason my team reveal up on the SC Playbook website. There will be tons of changes to this as injuries happen. We learn more about starting teams, and I'll update that and my team on site with analysis as we go day by day. Matty, the Waterboy second row forward.
Second row.
This will get you a little bit giddy, won't it?
It is, because this is where my red eye and my green eye comes in a little bit. I can see a couple of Rabbitohs in here, and I'll start with the big new recruit. David Fafita. He's at 485k. If he starts, will he be amongst the top owned people in the comp?
My first player picked. I think under Wayne Bennett, he can go back towards his Supercoach best. I think he'll start on that left edge. I don't suspect he'll probably play 80 minutes. They have so much depth, the Bunnies, this year. Like, I even have my team, in my predicted team, they have like Hubner, Adam Elliott signed. One of those two is probably going to miss out. They are stacked. I suspect Fafita probably plays around the 60-minute mark. Maybe he's an 80-minute man under Wayne Bennett, but when you've got back rowers like Tallis Duncan, Cam Murray, Jai Arrow, Kern Glamatungi, I just think they'll probably use him a little bit more dynamically and give him a bit of a spell. So, yeah, mate, provided he starts round one, he's locked into my team. If he comes off the bench, I'll almost still pick him.
Fair enough. Just like Paseka, Cam Murray, unfortunately missed the whole year last year, but 548k, is he a must as well?
He's not a must, and I'll be honest, I'll do many things to and for Cam Murray. I love him so much. I am cooling on him just a little bit. He didn't play a game last year, as we know, and he didn't get priced as cheaply as I thought he may have to start the season. He's $548,000. He's been a very good Supercoach player in the past, but he's not probably in that elite category of 2AF. He has been, but 2024 he averaged 62, 63 in 2023. The 2 years prior to that were a lot better, 71 and 70, but I just thought, having not played last year, that he might be that little bit cheaper than his starting price. So I am cooling on him because, like, is there a world where Wayne Bennett eases him back through injury a little bit? But, I mean, sorry, he played the final game of the season. He played like 20 minutes, which was absurd. But anyway, that was Wayne's choice and Cam Murray's choice. I'll probably start him just because I love him so much. But again, it'll be a bit of a watch because if they do have a 4-forward bench and Brandon Smith is the utility who'll play through the middle, minutes could be a question mark early. So not locked into my team, but he's in there for now.
I think definitely minutes. I think that they'll have to take it out of his hands this year, to be honest, because Cam Murray, the reason Cam Murray played in round 27 last year is because Cam Murray wanted to play. And he's the captain of the club. And he's put that he's put that club on his back for years now, and he deserved it. But he's going to want to play 80 minutes every week, but we need maybe they need to take the decision out of his hands. I think they actually might, especially with, as you said, with Cheese coming on. Anyway, next one, Angus Crichton, a Supercoach, one of the best Supercoach players. 2 years ago now?
Yep.
Last year, not so much.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
And I guess he's a little bit cheaper than usual, so that's why you've got him.
Yeah, another one that'll be a pre-season watch. I just look at the Roosters should be very good this year. We say that a bit and they can be a little bit hit or miss, but their team is stacked again. And what are we thinking? We'll have DC will play on the right, so Sammy Walker and Crichton will be on the left there, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just, again, a damn good footballer. And the reality was that in 2024, he was unbelievable. He averaged 78, and I think that was from memory some games of like lesser minutes coming off the bench early in the year as he came back. But it's 62 average he's priced on this year, an 80-minute edge-back row for a gun team with a great work rate. His tackle busts and offloads and just attacking stats in general dropped heaps last year. I just think he's too good a player. It's not like he's old or anything. I think he'll bounce back to a much better average. He also, the thing I love about Angus Crichton is there's a ceiling there. When he goes big, he can go big. Last year, it wasn't his best. He didn't actually go over 100, but I'm backing a bounce back from Angus Crichton. Not locked into my team like Cam Murray. If there's some good mid-ranges in that 4 to 450, 500 category emerge, I could go there, but that's what I've got for now.
I think the Roosters are going to have a big year.
Yeah.
I hate to say it as a South fan, but I'm putting that aside for a moment. I think they're going to have a great year. I think they've obviously recruited well with Robson and Cherry Evans, more so Robson for me, but yeah, I reckon they're going to have a good year. Anyway, your bench, I'll just name all three of them. You've got big Leka Halasima, who honestly, he could be anything, that bloke, not to steal Guru's line, but Jesus Christ. Hamish Stewart from the Dragons and Lasati from Melbourne.
Yeah, Leka, he's just, isn't he going to bring us some joy in Supercoach in the future?
What a player.
What a player. And like, there's shades of both NRL, but certainly Supercoach-wise, that I feel are going to come of like Dave Fafita at his best, where it's kind of like when he decides he wants to score, you're not going to stop him. Yeah. And when he goes into beast mode, I want to see, I think I said it about 1,000 times last year, but I just want to see Leka, as he grows more confidence, 2 out from the line, a quick play the ball, doesn't even have to be a quick play the ball, and he just scoops it up and goes, I'm going to launch in at your knees. Try and stop me. You can't. And just score. And they're the sort of tries where they just outmuscle them and dive over and have a 33-point play sort of thing from nothing. And he excites me. So, again, a watch on the Warriors round 1 team list, but I'm hoping he plays 80 minutes. I think he'll emerge into an 80-minute role. If he looks to be sort of sub-60, he's not locked into my team, but even at 60, 65 plus, I think just ability-wise, he's one that I want to lock into my team. Hamish Stewart, 402k. Lecker's 502k, sorry. But Hamish Stewart, 402k. He's a lot like Toby Couchman, a middle forward. He can play on the edge, massive work rate, a quality young footballer, a big pre-season watch. Another one. I love my back row, but none of them are locked. There are things a few dominoes that need to fall or not fall, in other words, to confirm Stewart. And then Lasati, he could start on the edge for the Storm, could start at lock. Trent Loiera's out for the first few rounds, suspended. Eli Katoa, unfortunately, won't play this year. So there's minutes to be won there. And I think Lasati, he's got a big future ahead. So Lasati's my cheapie there. Matty Jurman, thoughts on the back row there?
Yeah, I like it. I think Cameron Murray maybe could be one that you maybe... he's a captain, obviously, but just depending on his fitness and how he's come back to preseason had an Achilles, yeah? Is that what did he have
Achilles,
last year?
Matty?
For
Cam Murray?
Yeah, it is Achilles in the preseason.
It's not a great injury to come back from, is it?
So you've got 2 players in there that's done the Achilles. I mean, it's hopefully it's not something that can come up again, but just got to be careful with the injuries there. But I think overall it's pretty good. Pretty good back line. Halasima's just an excitement machine. I love watching him play, and I think I watched that try against Newcastle about 35 times. It just keeps getting replayed, and it's just excitement. To watch as an NRL fan. And then I think the bench is quite balanced, and your starting 3 are up there with 3 of the best that you can choose. Really, Ola Kalatu is obviously one of them. Depending on how he's come back with his shoulder, I was one that traded him maybe 1 or 2 weeks before he did that shoulder, and I can't remember if I had enough trades to trade him out after that because it was happened quite late. So he's one that I like having in my team as well. He scores a lot of tries, and similar to Angus Crichton, but he didn't score as many as he's used to last year. So hopefully with the new halves pairing, that can unlock him.
Yeah, I couldn't start with Ola quick enough last year. And he started season, I think he might have opened up with a ton just about in round 1 or round 2. But this year, I wouldn't begrudge anyone starting him at all. I just want to see that combination because him and Ches have just become thick as thieves in what they've done on that right edge for years now. So I want to see how he goes with a new half next to him in Jamal Fogarty. So it's not exactly a massive downgrade, so they could kill it as well. Guys, before we get into the back line, a huge thank you to Paddy and his team at Mortgage Choice SCW for partnering up as our major sponsor once again in 2026. They're a huge part of why SC Playbook has been able to expand in recent years with studio use, new sports, new contributors, new collabs, and everything that's gone into the show. They've looked after us for a number of years now, and our community can give back to them. If you're dipping your toe into the housing market in 2026 and you're in need of a broker, reach out to Paddy and his team. Best of all, it's free of charge because you listen to the SC Playbook podcast. So simply mention SC Playbook when you get in touch and you get a free consult worth $129. Unbelievable. To get in touch, hit him up on Instagram is probably the easiest way, mortgagechoice_SCW, or give him a bell on 02 9521 1611. Matty the Waterboy. So, interesting position. Halfback.
Easily the most interesting, and this is my biggest question of the podcast, and this is what I was referring to at the start. I've sat here and listened to your podcast and produced your podcast for, I think, 4 years, maybe 3 years, 4 years. Not once have I heard Mitch Moses' name get mentioned, and yet you've picked him. Can you please talk me through that?
Yeah, once again, Matty, shit year equals low starting price. So... the natural reaction to a few of these players is, he didn't have a great year. Well, that's because he's in there because he's starting cheap. And the reality with Mitch Moses is, A, that he's playing career best footy. He's been outstanding, has had his injury concerns. 13 games last year, just 8 games the year before. But even in those stages, he's played Origin and absolutely dominated and won a lot of games for the Blues. Parramatta, they're a side on the up. But the biggest thing is with Zach Lomax, we assume gone, Mitch Moses kicks goals, and that should add that sort of 10 to 12 to his average and bump it up. Nathan Cleary and the Panthers, they have a really tough draw to start the season. Nico's and the Sharks not as bad, but pretty difficult. They're obviously the two that you want to get to. I'm not entirely ruling out Jerome Hughes either, who had a down year last year, Supercoach-wise, especially when you add in, I think there were 2 games there that he left early with injury, but I'm just looking at Mitch Moses as my stepping stone to Nathan Cleary or Nicho Hynes. I'd be doing it as quick as I could, hoping for a price drop from those two, but look, if the cheapies emerge and mid-rangers emerge come round 1, I could absolutely start with Cleary or Hynes, but as it starts, Mitchy Moses is my halfback.
I get it now. Now, the goal kicking thing has kind of... And maybe I was wrong. Maybe when he did kick goals, he was he a Supercoach option a few years ago?
Yeah, he's always been thereabouts. The problem is at halfback, it's been Cleary and Hynes. Like, they're leaps and bounds above, and they probably will be this year as well. But, like, average 56 last year, 64 the year before that, 68 the year before that, 70 the year before that. So I'm seeing him adding in how much he's come along as a footballer in recent years. You add in also that he won't have Dylan Brown next to him this year. He'll have Jonah Pezzett. So I think he's going to be even more dominant without Dylan Brown there. I think you can add 10 to sort of 13 to his average this year is my prediction. What I will say, though, is Mitch Moses can go big on his day. When the Eels get their tails up, they play a bad side, he can put a 140, 150 on. Early on in the year, when defences are better, he'll have new combinations around him. There can be some low scores. So I'm not saying he's going to average that 70-point mark in the first 5-10 rounds, and that's where my question mark comes, where I know Cleary and Hynes, they'll at least start the season well. Mitchy Moses can be a bit hit or miss, but I've got him for now.
Okay, those are some points that I did not think of. So moving on. Now, you've got Ethan Sanders here. I assume it's whoever starts at 7 for the Raiders?
Yeah, I suspect that Ricky Stewart has said to Ethan Sanders, you're going to get first crack at it, barring him having a barrier for pre-season and Kobe Black coming down from Brisbane kills it. I'm sure he won't be locked into it, but I do think he'll get the first crack. So, yeah, Ethan Sanders is my backup halfback. Matty, Jurman, what are your thoughts on the Moses play? Would you be one to just go get Cleary in early, get Hynes in early, one of those two, and run that way, or do you like Moses?
I do like Moses for those reasons that you mentioned. I think he's coming in a price a bit lower because of a couple of injuries and going off early in games where I think he had a few head knocks as well, maybe at the end of last season. So I think his running game last year was really good for Para and New South Wales. You can see he was scored quite a few tries and he's very quick. So someone that I can see why you brought him in, but at the same time, if you want to pay up and go for those elite guys that you're literally going to keep for the whole year, I can see why you do that as well. But there's just so many cheap guys in that position now. There's so much value to be made, and I feel like maybe even starting without Moses, just gone completely cheap is not a bad option as well.
Interesting, yeah. And as I said, there are a few options there. And a little earlier on, like I've got Jonah Pezzett as my backup 5'8", but there are a few cheapy options you mentioned that you can go at halfback. So the double cheapy, it's viable. It's risky, but it's viable, especially if you're focusing on that cash generation early. Matty, a bludger of a position.
Just before we go on, last year, if I'm just casting my mind back, was Duffy the only cheapy halfback in round 1?
From memory, yes.
Because I remember most teams had him and Ongi. It seems like there's a few more options going around this year. Obviously we've got Pezzett for the
Atkinson as well.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Well, Atkinson, is the one, Matty, where he could easily come into my team by round 1. And you're right, Atkinson and Sanders. If you want a cheapy halfback, there's a play there. It just it just feels bad, but. Yes, there are a few options.
Cool. Moving on to 5'8", as you're about to say, a bludger of a position.
It almost feels like I've picked this team for you, Matty, doesn't it?
Well, you've got one of my favourite players of all time in here, but I'm not sure. Cody Walker at 6, and as we said before, Jonah Pezzett as the backup 6 as well. But Cody Walker, I know we've kind of butted heads over the last few weeks about this, where I think he might have played 80 minutes a couple of times last year. There was like a 20-week period where he didn't finish a game. However, you've provided evidence as well to say that this year, it was 1 year. It was an anomaly. He's played over 20 games in every other year. So it's just his age and the soft tissue injuries. I'm not completely convinced, but geez, if if he can play 80 minutes every week, then he's an absolute must, but it's a big if.
Yeah, I've been pretty high on the Bunnies this preseason already across Bloke in a Bar and the couple of SC Playbook podcasts we've done, and a bit of backlash around the old Bunnies love. But to those people, you can get wrecked. I think you are stacked, Matty. I think you're in for a massive year. A lot of that hinges on Cody Walker.
I think most of it hinges on Cody Walker.
Put it this way. If, I appreciate it's a big if, Cody Walker stays fit for the most part of the year, better part of the year, doesn't have to play every game, but he's fit come finals time, you can win the comp. Like, your team is stacked. If you lose Cody Walker, you lose a lot of creative flair around the halves, don't you?
We do. But do you reckon...
Spine in general.
And I think I know what your answer is going to be. I think you're going to scoff at this. Do you think there's any chance... I'm not saying this will happen in round one. I reckon he'll start at 6 round one. But if this trend keeps going of him, having not finishing games, soft injuries in and out, do you reckon... Because he finished the year like this last year, do you reckon there's a super sub kind of role for him that could happen this year?
My question to any Rabbitohs physios listening in is... Like, he played 11 games last year. It was a bad year for injuries and soft tissue injuries. He's getting old, but prior to that, he played 20-plus games every year of his career. I'm not willing to put a line through him yet because it's one year.
You're right. Like, this time last year, before a ball was kicked, I didn't associate Cody Walker with as injury prone. So you're right.
And then he played the first 4.5 games, and then we know what happened the rest of the season. And look, the Bunnies were so injury hit. Maybe there was a case of him coming back too early and he kept tweaking things. But look, if he tweaks something in the preseason, I won't touch him all year. But if he plays the trials and he looks good and he looks fit and firing, at 399K in this Bunnies team, he's going to be pulling the strings in attack, especially with Latrell at centre. Yeah, he's in my team, and I'm pretty happy about it until he gets injured. And if that happens, so be it. So
I think at that price range, he's definitely going to be in mine as well. I'm playing a bit of a devil's advocate here, but yeah, there's too much upside with Cody.
Put it this way. I will be finding cash to upgrade Moses to Cleary/Hines before I'll be finding cash to upgrade Walker to Cam Munster or Burton or whoever it is at 5'8".
Your backup, Jonah Pezzett. Is he a lock?
I mean, somewhat of a placeholder, 5'8", 235K. He's not someone I'd happily play in my team at all, but at least not early on until we see something. But in terms of a cash generator, he's a good footballer, a bit of creativity about him, and if you can make some cash there, then happy days. Matty Jurman, what's your take on Cody Walker?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think I agree with you. I think their team's pretty stacked this year, and I think after last year, they're going to want a big season. Hopefully, they keep their big players fit. Latrell, obviously, is a big one for them, playing centres this year. So, Jai Gray will be unlocked at the back, and I like watching him play. He's very exciting to watch. And just looking at their backup options in case Cody does get injured, they've got a couple of young boys, Jonah Glover from the Dragons, who I heard a lot about but didn't really get to see. So someone that I'm interested in seeing more of. And they had that Ashton Ward as well, who came in, and I thought he'd done a good job. He ran the ball very well. But yeah, to start with, I can see why he's starting with Cody Walker. He's experienced and playing in that team. I can see them having a big season.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch him early on. I'll be nervous about the body, but for now, and I think he'll stay there, Cody Walker. Matty, CT Dub.
Yeah, by the look of this and
stacked.
Yeah, not like this isn't normal, right? Like, was this time last year was your centers in round one this stacked? I'll name them in a moment, but just like in general, is that where you say would you spend money in recent years or save it?
You're on the money, but a couple of years ago more. Like it used to be a lot of, again, going a little bit back now, but guns and cheapies has been a big strategy in Supercoach. Paying up for the big dogs, finding the cheapies, and when the cheapies peak in price, you turn them into the fallen gun sort of thing. CT Dub has changed in recent years, where the evolution of a couple of guys that you'll see in my team very shortly, but the base and power stats there, the tackle bust, the offloads, blokes running 25 times per game, the better players in the position have made it one of the better positions to target and one of the most reliable positions for the top echelon of players. So yeah, back in the day, like just about every single CT dub in the game, before Brian Toto really sort of came along and would run 25 times per game, just have these huge work rates and get lots of Supercoach points, even the best players could score 17 on their day or 117. It's not quite like that anymore, hence the paying a bit more money in the CT dub to really shore it up.
Interesting. Well, I'll name you 4 players who
Yep.
seriously, like these could, you could keep all these guys for most of the year.
It's hot, yeah.
Jacob Kiraz, Latrell Mitchell, Brian To'o, and Tamale. Like seriously, that's blown me away how stacked that is.
That's good shit, I know. And that, yeah.
I was going to say, still riding the wave of no Herbie.
Herbie. I'm not paying $850,000 for Herbie, and I will regret it when he averages 130 in the opening rounds. I can't do it. I cannot, especially when I've already paid $850,000 for a front rower to start the season.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't do it for
It's
a
a lot.
CT Dub who scored just about every freaking game last year. Don't remind me. So Jacob Kiraz, I think he speaks for himself. Apparently having a bumper off season if Gus Gould's Twitter is to be believed. Brian To'o, $598,000. It is a tough draw to start the season, but I just think To'o, looking at his previous season averages, 61 last year, 2 seasons prior, 70 and 71. I think he starts cheap. He's reliable.
Do tough draws even bother To'o? He does the same amount of stuff every game,
They don't
right?
change his work rate. No, it'll only just be a few of those easy dive over tries sort of thing because he plays some good opposition early. But at the same time, I felt like he was playing injured all year last year. So if he's fully fit this year, I'm happy to put him in my team as well. Latrell Mitchell, I think he's going to be a big talking point all pre-season. People will say he's lazy, won't have the base stats, any of that. But look, he's just a gun. And I mean, there's still a world where he starts at fullback round 1. I saw some quotes from Cam Murray the other day saying they hadn't locked him in. For Supercoach's sake, I hope he does play centre, because if he plays fullback and the overlords at News Corp have locked him into CT Dub already, everyone's going to own him. It's going to be so boring. So for that sake and a selfish Supercoach sake, I hope he does play centre round 1. But yeah, his brilliance, the fact that I think the Bunnies are going to pepper that left edge, he's in my team. Tamale.
Sorry, just on Latrell, I just think there's no way in this world that he's just going to stand out at centre and have 3 runs.
Yeah.
I just think there's no way it's going to happen. Like he'll play centre, but he'll have more of a role than just,
For sure.
Yeah.
Savalio Tamale, he averaged 64 points per game last year prior to that injury against the Rabbitohs where he played 14 minutes. Came back 13 weeks later. He scored 26 on return. Fair enough. And then in that final game of the year, he scored 36. That was when the Raiders mass rested players. Finished with a 56-point average. Another one that just churns through the work. I don't think on the Raiders' left edge the try-scoring potential is as high as other wingers in the comp, but I think he starts cheap and I think he can only get better this year. So, yeah, they're my 4 guns at CT Dub.
And just going to the bench, you've got the Tigers' prodigy. How do you say it? Macassini.
Yep.
I think he'll be in a lot of teams this year. Chester and 2 from the Dragons, who I think I heard Shane Flaken talk about this week. Is he the one that he said he's like leading the charge to be a winger?
So there's a bit going on in the Dragons' backline because, as I mentioned, there's Tui Piloto who's under an injury cloud for round 1. I don't know if he's officially been ruled out of Vegas or not, but at a full-strength Dragons team, I still believe Tui Piloto. Like, I thought he was great last year. Those hammies were, made of paper, but I think he's one of their best wingers in starts. There's Setu 2 there, who I've currently got in my team as a cheapy placeholder. And the other one they've got in there, his name escapes me, David Fale, I think it is. So they're wide open. And look, there's Tyrell Sloan as well, who it sounds like maybe he's dropping off a little bit, but it sounds like at least one of these 2 wingers should hopefully start in Vegas, and then pending what happens with Tui Piloto, but yeah, a big watch on those guys. I've got Tom Chester there. Reports out of, I think it's the Courier Mail, saying that Chester could start at centre for them, which I find interesting because I thought Purdue would start at centre, and they've got a few other options there as well. Zach Labart, but I don't know if they're looking at maybe Purdue in the halves.
Well, I read that... Sorry to cut you off, Timmy. I read that Purdue had been training 80% of the preseason at halfback.
Interesting. I like that for the Cowboys, especially if they're that keen on Tom Chester. Put him in the halves with Tommy Dearden. Clifford is fine, but he's just a lethal halves pairing. So, yeah, regardless, reports are that Chester could start, in which case probably he'll be in my team. And, yeah, Macassini as well. So, again, cheapy placeholders. Matty Jurman, the stacked CT Dub starters. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's you can't really complain with those guys that you're starting in the centres. I think they're all great players. You're paying a little bit more for them at this stage of the season. Quite interesting, actually, because I feel like the centres position is usually where you go quite cheap, because that's where you can get the most value in terms of getting those tries and getting big scores and then sort of trading them onto keepers that you usually keep for the whole season. So the ones that you've got in there, I can't see you can't really trade them out really unless they get injured. So
are there any?
You're going to keep them?
Yeah, anyone sort of missing from the CT dub list that you're sort of eyeing off for your team for round one? Would you pay out for Herbie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And to be fair, he's probably going to come out and start the season as well as he did last year. So, but yeah, I think it's too much for me.
Yeah.
I think hopefully I'll get one of these guys that you've picked on your bench and they can grow in value quite quickly. Hopefully it's one of those Dragons guys with a lot of try scorers to start the season. And hopefully he drops and you can do the trade like that. But I think I'm quite happy with your centres actually. I think
thanks, mate.
I think Latrell starts the season very well. I think he wants a big year after last year. I think all those Souths guys that you've got in there, they're in for big years. So and I think Toll is fixture proof. It doesn't matter who they play against. He's always got a good base, and then he can always pop up with a try or two even against the better teams. So I don't think it really matters who they're playing to start the season. And Karaz, his excitement machine. Tamale had a good season until he got injured, and then he came back right at the end of the season. So I think he's a good pick and someone that's probably undervalued. With a good Raiders team, I'm sure he'll be good as well.
Appreciate that, mate. Feel free to copy me. Thank me later. I'm sure nothing will go wrong from that starting four. Matty, fullback, and you can tie flex into this one as well. Fascinating position. It always is in the preseason. I'll be honest, I'm very keen on these three, and it probably won't change.
Well, fullback's a fascinating position. I think the Titans, and they have been a fascinating team before, but they're definitely a fascinating team this year with a new coach, and you've picked Kinney at fullback.
Kinney, yep. I mean, Fafita was my first pick. Kinney was probably my second pick. He's a 70-plus averaging player, and I think he's only getting better and better. We've seen what he's done in recent years with the Kiwis, even coming back from injury last year. Huge work rate, tackle-busting machine. Say what you will about the Titans, cannot defend to save themselves. We'll see how they go under Josh Hannay, but they do have some points in them. They've got a lot of good attacking weapons, so I really love Kinney, and provided he's fit for round one, which he should be, he's locked into my team. He's $495K for a bloke who 2 years ago, I think he averaged 72 points per game, locked in.
Kalen Ponga, give me a percentage of how confident you are he's going to be in your team for round one.
Provided he's goal kicking, let's go with 65%.
Okay.
I'm not super confident. I want him. My concern is not Kalen Ponga. My concern is the Knights.
100%.
Yeah, I don't rate them. I think they're really light on in the pack. New combinations. I think they're going to struggle. That's my doubt over Kalen Ponga. So, yeah, if they look really poor in the preseason, that might be enough for me to cut him. At the same time, he's priced on a 62 average. Seasons prior, average 81 and 87. When he's on, he's one of the best in the game. He's gone through some big scoring streaks with a red-hot Knights side. Granted, I think it was in 2024 when he averaged 81. I know he only played 15 games, but I think the Knights were the worst attacking team in the comp, or second worst that year. So he doesn't necessarily need it all because he can do a lot, but I think he'll be in my team, but I just want to see something from the Knights. So he's in for now.
I'll tell you what, your fullbacks, and I'll get to your third one in a sec, all three of them, you'd love to have in your team because they're guys you love watching play. Yeah. And the guys that score tries and set up tries, and they're all fun watchers. And this guy is the same, Trey Fuller. What a beast he is.
How good's Trey Fuller?
I love him.
Yeah,
I think everyone loves him.
I think everyone does love him in it. Hamiso might start at fullback round one. I think Fuller's done enough to get that start. Yeah. And they can put Hammer out at centre. They were really poor defensively on their flanks last year. And you put Hammer out there, he really solidifies a centre spot defensively. Last year, 112, came back from that lengthy, I think it was an ACL injury. He played the last 4 games of the year. On return from injury, 78 against Brisbane, 49 against Manly, 113 against the Titans, and then 112 against the Raiders. It was the baby Raiders, to be fair. But even the year prior, when he sort of came in and played a lot of those 80-minute games, he was brilliant. So another one who gets through a ton of work. He busts tackles. He's in everything. There's a bit of magic about him as well. So Yeah, look, starting at 559K, they're three fullbacks that I am looking to move to. James Tedesco, Tom Trbojevic, Reece Walsh as quick as I can. And I think they can just provide a really, really good stepping stone to them. Matty, Jurman, what are you thinking?
I don't mind Keeney, definitely Keeney. I'm keen on. Fuller, I'm keen on if he's got a starting position instead of the hammer. But I'm looking at Farlogo from Northern Storm. I think with the Pappenhausen gone now, I think that opens up a great attacking position for him, and I think someone that I'm looking at bringing in. He's
one of my biggest preseason watches.
Yeah.
If he fires, which it's Farlogo, he probably will. He's electric. And the Knights look ordinary. I can see myself going Ponga to Farlogo. He's only available at fullback, not at CT Dub. I'm glad they did that because, again, if he was CT Dub, he'd be in my team 100%. Yeah. But I like they've only given him fullback for now. And if he plays CT Dub during the year, they can add it. But I like the Farlogo shout.
And it's cheaper as well. So you, what was it, $100,000 difference to Ponga?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wait and watch, I think, for those two to see how they go. And you can always change them.
Exactly right.
So he doesn't start the preseason well.
Yeah, and look, I think I'd nearly be willing to pay out for Reece Walsh early on. I think they pay something like 6 of their first 7 or something stupid in Queensland. A bunch of those at Suncorp Stadium as well. Dry tracks in Queensland, sort of early warm period of the year. I love the value in these guys.
Defending champs, they want to start the season well. So,
and I don't know if this is like anything, but last time Madge won a comp was obviously with South in 2014. And they were shit in 2015 by the end of the year. They still made the finals, but how they started the year, they won every single game with the Nines. They won the Charity Shield by a huge, I think after round 2 or 3, people were saying, are they ever going to lose the game this year?
Yeah.
They ended up coming 7th and it was a bad year, but they did start the year well. So maybe the Broncos this year will do the same.
Yeah. The infamous, whether it's true or not, Madge burnout. He goes too hard, but all Madge does is get results. So they're just going to be a good watch early on and see how that plays out and how they do back it up. Guys, that'll do us for the SC Playbook podcast with Supercoach launching today. Matty Jurman, awesome to have you on the show. As I said, mate, you've been kicking the lights out with the SC Playbook Supercoach EPL team, the MacArthur Bulls, a tight one there in the A-League this season, plenty to play out, killing it in the Champions League over there as well in Asia. So, mate, it's been great having you on, and I reckon we'll get you back for some more cameos in the season.
Yeah, no, definitely interested in our NRL, so can't wait for the season to start, and then we can start talking about Supercoach NRL as well.
Yeah, I rate your debut, mate, a really solid 8.5 out of 10. And the only reason it isn't higher is because I did all the yapping and it was my team reveal. But I think I put Matty Ryan as about a 7 out of 10 on his first show. So, look, we'll try and get him back in the summer break when he gets back from Europe and see if he can up his game a little bit. But nonetheless, it's been great to have you on the show. Matty, thanks for playing Question Master today. You've also been wonderful.
No worries, mate. I will say that my 2 biggest, questions before the podcast was Moses and Ponga. Those are the 2 I could not make sense of it. You've turned me on Moses, but I'm not touching Ponga. There's no way.
I've found over the years I'm remarkably good at talking people into things. Whether they pay off or not, it's about a 50-50 success rate over the years. So, believe what you will. Let the numbers do the talking a lot of the time. But I'm glad to have got you over the line with one of them there, Matty. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week.